Saudi Arabia is once again facing the wrath of nature. In recent days, relentless downpours have unleashed flash floods across multiple regions, transforming familiar streets into violent rivers and peaceful farmlands into endless stretches of muddy water. What once looked like bustling cities and quiet valleys now resemble ghost towns swallowed by an inland sea.
الله يعوض عليك يا بلا بس غرقنا ما شاء الله تبارك الله. طريق المعيصر شيء الربع ما شاء الله تبارك الله عز الله بتطيح سيارات.
In Taif, the rain battered the city for hours without pause. Drainage systems collapsed under the sheer volume of water, leaving neighborhoods completely submerged. Roads vanished, markets closed abruptly, and vehicles floated helplessly down flooded streets. Families peered out from rooftops, terrified. As their homes disappeared beneath the current, the sound of rushing water mixed with distant cries for help painted a scene of chaos and despair.
الله يرحم سحبها الوادي مسكين. لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله. لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله. اللهم نجها رب العالمين. اللهم
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. الله يعوض رعيها خير. هذا الآن في طريق جدة مكة المباشر.
Southward in Asir, Al-Bahar and Jazan, entire towns were encircled by floods. Valleys became raging channels, sweeping away everything in their path. Bridges cracked under pressure, highways sank beneath gushing torrents, and small rural communities were cut off from the outside world. People tried desperately to signal rescuers, waving cloths or using flashlights in the dark nights, waiting hours for help that sometimes never arrived. The Makkah region was among the hardest hit. Vast stretches of farmland turned into shallow lakes overnight. Golden wheat fields, date palms and fruit orchards, the pride of local farmers, were erased in a matter of hours. Satellite images showed nothing but brown water as far as the eye could see, turning once productive land into desolation. Farmers who depended on these lands for survival stood helpless, watching years of hard work vanish in front of their eyes. Infrastructure crumbled under nature's fury. Major highways to Jeddah, a lifeline for trade and transport, were submerged and destroyed. Entire neighborhoods plunged into darkness as electrical poles collapsed into the floodwaters. Communications networks went down, leaving families unable to contact loved ones. In many areas, the only source of information came from battery-powered radios broadcasting emergency alerts.
ما شاء الله تبارك الرحمن. هذه سيول خميس مشيط إشارة الغروي اليوم 19 رمضان 1446.
But the true devastation was written in human suffering. Fathers carried children through chest-high waters, clinging to them tightly as the currents tried to tear them apart. Mothers wept in shelters, praying for missing family members. The elderly, too weak to walk, had to be carried by neighbours across rushing waters. Critically ill patients stranded in remote towns were left waiting in silence, as flooded roads blocked ambulances. Mosques and schools turned into emergency shelters. Hundreds of people crammed into small halls, sitting on cold floors, with little food or clean water. Children cried from hunger, while parents tried to comfort them with whatever scraps they had. The air inside was filled with the murmur of whispered prayers, as families clung to hope despite having lost everything. Outside, the floodwaters carried away household furniture, livestock carcasses and debris, a haunting reminder of lives uprooted in seconds. Amid the despair, stories of courage emerged. Volunteers tied ropes around their waists and waded into raging waters to rescue trapped neighbours. Men locked arms to form chains, pulling entire families from sinking cars. Helicopters hovered above rooftops, lifting stranded survivors to safety. These brave acts lit sparks of hope in a sea of destruction, showing that unity and sacrifice still stood strong against tragedy.
لا إله إلا الله.
Experts warn this is not just a single disaster, but part of a worrying trend. Climate shifts are making rainfall in Saudi Arabia more extreme and unpredictable. Storms that once stretched across months now burst in just a few hours, unleashing torrents that infrastructure cannot withstand. Without urgent upgrades to flood defences, drainage systems, and early warning networks, the nightmare of Taif, Mecca, and Jazan will keep repeating, each time with greater losses. The road ahead is long and uncertain. Rebuilding washed-out villages will take months. Restoring farmland could take years. And repairing broken infrastructure demands massive resources. But physical damage is only part of the burden. Children now wake, screaming in the night, haunted by the roar of floodwaters. Parents, stripped of livelihood, wonder how they will feed their families tomorrow. Farmers staring at empty lands feel crushed by the weight of starting again from nothing. This tragedy has left Saudi Arabia at a crossroads. Will leaders act quickly to prepare for the new climate reality, or will the cycle of destruction continue unchecked? Without decisive measures, floods like these will no longer be rare shocks. They will become a recurring story of despair for generations to come.